Alright, in this second example, in our first fraction, we have 4x minus 36 over 4x squared minus 20x plus 25. It's multiplying to our second fraction, 2x squared minus 5x over 3x squared minus 28x plus 9. Alright, so we're going to use all the factoring techniques, all the factoring rules for each of the four parts that we see in this example. So let's take a look at the numerator and our first fraction. 4x minus 36, it's two terms, so I'm going to be looking for a GCF because they're not perfect squares. Between 4x and negative 36 is 4, so I'm going to factor out the 4. I'm left with x minus 9 inside the parenthesis. In the bottom, it's 4x squared minus 20x plus 25. This is a perfect square, so when I factor out the perfect square, I'm going to leave it in expand form, meaning I'm going to have two factors. So it's going to be 2x minus 5 times 2x minus 5. Again, it's minus because the middle term is minus. So I finished factoring the first fraction. Now let's factor the second fraction. So in the numerator, 2x squared minus 5x, it's two terms, so I'm looking for a GCF. The only thing in common between these two is x. So when I factor out the x, I'm left with 2x minus 5. And then the bottom, 3x squared minus 28x plus 9, I'm going to factor like a trinomial. So when I factor, I'm going to have 3x minus 1 times x minus 9. So I finished factoring, and since it's multiplying, I'm going to combine it as one big fraction, put it next to each other. So I'm going to have 4 times x minus 9 times my x, I'm going to put that in parentheses, times 2x minus 5. And then my denominator, I'm going to have 2 of the 2x minus 5 in parentheses. And then 3x minus 1, and then x minus 9. Now the reason I leave it in expand form for 2x minus 5 is you want to check if there's a factor in the numerator that you can divide. So let's take a look at what factors that we can divide. I notice I have an x minus 9 in the numerator and denominator, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide, and those two become 1. And then I notice I have 2x minus 5 in the numerator and 1 in the denominator. So even though I have 2x minus 5 in the denominator, if I cross out 1, if I divide 2x minus 5 in the numerator, I can only do 1 from the denominator. So I'm crossing out, I'm dividing 2x minus 5 from the numerator. Therefore, I'm going to cross out 2x minus 5 in the denominator. And then what I have left is the ones I did not cross out. So in my numerator, I have the 4 and the x. So since they're multiplying, I can just write it as 4x. In my denominator, I have 2x minus 5 times 3x minus 1. Now make sure you have to include your parentheses since 2x minus 5 is an expression and it's multiplying to another expression. In the top, I just only have a single number multiplying to a single variable. 4 times x is just simply 4x, so I don't need the parentheses. But in my denominator, I have parentheses because we have expressions multiplying to each other, so make sure you include your parentheses. If you leave it out, your answer will be wrong and points will be taken off. So I finished factoring and dividing common factors. Therefore, this is my final answer. 4x over 2x minus 5 times 3x minus 1. And that's all you have to do.